All right, today we are diving deep into the world of Korean table manners, what you might call K-etiquette. And believe me, this is a topic that's getting more and more attention all over the globe. And for a really good reason.
I mean, if you've ever found yourself binge watching a K-drama, you've definitely seen it, right? The way everyone sits, how they pour drinks, how they use their utensils. It feels like there's this secret, unspoken code. Well, today, we're going to make that code spoken. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with why a meal is so much more than just food in Korea. Then we'll get into the nitty-gritty, the actual rules of the table. After that, we'll explore the deep cultural roots of these customs, see how modern dining has actually changed things up, master the art of drinking etiquette, and finally, we'll look at how K-etiquette is literally taking the world by storm. Okay, first things first. Why are people so fascinated by this? Well, it's because in Korea, sitting down for a meal is about so much more than just eating. At its very heart, dining is a shared cultural experience. It's not just some stuffy list of rules you have to memorize. It's more like a living, breathing language of respect for the people you're sharing that table with. And that depth, that meaning, that's what's catching everyone's attention. It turns a simple meal into a pretty profound social event. So, how does that whole foundation of respect thing actually play out in real life? Let's get into the essential rules. And believe it or not, they start before anyone even thinks about picking up their chopsticks. It all begins with where you sit. This concept of sangsak is just crucial. It's the seat of honor. It's usually the one furthest from the hustle and bustle of the door, and it's always offered to the eldest or most senior person there. It's the very first signal that respect is the main course of this meal. Next up, your utensils have very specific jobs. This is a big one. In Korea, you never hold your spoon and your chopsticks in the same hand at the same time. Think of them as specialized tools. The spoon is for your rice and any soups or stews, and the chopsticks, they are strictly for all those delicious side dishes. Okay, now here's a rule that trips a lot of people up, especially if you're familiar with Japanese dining. In Japan, lifting your bowl is polite. But in Korea, nope, bowls stay firmly planted on the table. Part of that is historical. Lifting a bowl was once associated with begging, but it's also just practical. Korean bowls are often made of heavy metal or ceramic, and they can get super hot. All right, here's a quick cheat sheet for you. The do's are all about being aware and considerate. You wait for the eldest to take their first bite, you try to match their pace, you use serving spoons for shared dishes. Simple. The don'ts are about avoiding anything that could be seen as disrespectful. And the biggest one, never, ever stick your spoon or chopsticks straight up in your rice bowl. It looks like the incense used at funerals, so it's a huge no-no. Also, try to eat quietly and don't dig through the side dishes for just your favorite pieces. It's all about sharing the experience.
So we've covered the what, but honestly, the why is where it gets really fascinating. These rules aren't just random. They are woven into the very fabric of Korean philosophy.
The bedrock for almost all of this is Confucianism. At its core, this philosophy is all about creating social harmony by respecting hierarchy, especially for yenjangja, which means elders. The dinner table, then, becomes the sort of everyday stage where those values are practiced and passed down. And you can see this philosophy pop up in all these specific little actions. The eldest person always eats first. That's the golden rule. If you happen to finish before they do, you don't just put your spoon down on the table. You rest it on your bowl to show you're patiently waiting. And that simple act of turning your head away when you take a drink with an elder, it's a subtle but really powerful gesture of respect. But, cultures are always changing and evolving. And what we often think of as traditional isn't always as ancient as it seems. In fact, there's a really surprising twist in the story of the modern Korean table. You know that classic K-drama scene, right? Where the whole family or group of friends are all dipping their spoons into one big bubbling pot of stew or jjigae? It feels so timeless, so deeply traditional. But get this, it's actually a pretty modern development. Let's rewind the clock a bit. The actual traditional standard was something called dokseong, where every single person got their own little individual table setting. The move towards sharing dishes out of the middle of the table really took hold after the Korean War. It was born out of necessity, it was practical and economical, but it also had this amazing effect of fostering this powerful sense of community and togetherness during a really tough time.
Now, let's talk about something that is absolutely central to social life in Korea, drinking etiquette. There is a real art to it, especially when it comes to that famous little green bottle of soju.
Okay, let's break this down. Think of it as a three-step dance of respect. Step 1, when you're pouring for someone older or senior to you, you always use 2 hands to show how much you respect them. Step 2, when it's your turn to receive a drink, you do the same thing. Use 2 hands to hold your glass. And step 3, just like we saw before, you then turn your head slightly away from the elder to take your sip. It's a sequence that just becomes second nature after a while. And please, if you remember one thing, remember this. cheomjeon. In many Western cultures, topping off someone's glass is just being a good host, right? In Korea, it's the opposite. You must wait until their glass is completely empty. That's because refilling a glass that isn't empty is a practice that's done during memorial services for ancestors. So doing it in a social setting is a major, major taboo.
So we've gone through the rules, we've looked at the history, but this story isn't just about Korea anymore. It's about how these incredibly rich cultural practices are now going global. And what's so fascinating is seeing how different cultures are latching on to different parts of K-etiquette. For instance, in Japan, the quiet and refined way of eating is becoming more popular. Over in the West, thanks to K-pop idols, bowing has become a really familiar and respected sign of humility. And in parts of Southeast Asia, fans are so dedicated, they're even learning the nuances of formal Korean language, or jeondetmae. So what is it? Why is this catching on so much? Well, it's kind of the perfect storm. You've got the massive global wave of K-dramas and K-pop putting these manners on a world stage. People see them as unique, as sophisticated, but I think, most importantly, the core values behind it all, things like respect for family, social grace, being considerate, those are things that just resonate with people everywhere, no matter where you're from. And really, that's the bottom line. When you boil it all down, that's what it's about. Whether it's letting an elder eat first, or pouring a drink with 2 hands, or even just matching your eating speed to the group, every single rule is about being considerate and making the shared experience better for everyone. It's all about being mindful of other people. And all of this leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to think about. As our world gets more and more connected and cultures keep blending and influencing each other, we're literally watching etiquette evolve in real time. It really makes you wonder, what will our dining tables look like in the future? What new traditions will we end up creating together? Thanks for tuning in.